Hi, this is Danny Doyle, and I'm here with another banger video. So lately, there's been this really low-quality image circling the rounds on Fire Emblem Discord and Fire Emblem Twitter. It's like got a bunch of different questions about Fire Emblem. They're all opinion-based questions, and it's labeled Fire Emblem 1 like equals 1 answer. So I figured I would answer all of those questions here on this video. And if you want to hear those answers, you actually have to like the video one time for each answer. 1 like equals each answer. And so what you do is you like the video, then you create 23 alt accounts and like the video with all of those alt accounts, and you can't listen to more answers than the number of alt accounts that you like the video with. I will know if you don't. I will know. You can't do it. Anyway, we're gonna do this now. We're gonna answer these questions now. I will know. Don't even think about listening to the answers. If you didn't create the alt accounts and like it, I will know. Don't even think about it. Okay, so the first question is first game, and I've talked about this a lot. My first game was Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. I played it as like I was a child, like a teenager child when it first came out. And I'd just gotten a GameCube for Christmas, and my parents were trying to figure out what GameCube games to get, because I'd asked, we still had to write our letters to Santa, even though I knew Santa wasn't real. Spoilers, for Santa. He's not real. Spoilers. But I had 3 younger sisters, and so we still had to write our letters to Santa. So I'd put like a GameCube, and then I think I put down like Super Mario Sunshine, and maybe like there wasn't a Donkey Kong game on GameCube, so I don't remember what other games I put down. Oh yeah, no, I put down like Mario Party. It was all the Marios, right? Like it was Mario Sunshine, Mario Party, Mario Kart Double Dash. I put down all of those, and then I put down like the Lord of the Rings. Does anyone remember the Lord of the Rings movie tie-in game for the GameCube? That game was actually fucking sick. That game was actually so sick. But anyway, so my parents, apparently, they went to GameStop. Shoutouts to GameStop. They went to GameStop and they asked the GameStop employee, like, hey, our kid wants Super Mario Sunshine and Mario Party and Mario Kart and Lord of the Rings. What other games would you recommend for someone who's into them? And the GameStop employee was like, oh, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. That sounds like someone who would like Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Completely out of the blue, by the way. Like that, there's no link between those games and Fire Emblem Path of Radiance other than that they're all on the Nintendo GameCube. So this GameStop employee was definitely just trying to like spread the Fire Emblem propaganda, but it worked because I got hooked instantly. I really liked it. It's part of the reason why, like, I have a lot of nostalgia for Tellius, so these answers are going to be probably pretty Tellius-centric, because a lot of the units who I like a lot are Tellius-pilled. Right, number 2 favorite game, that's Sacred Stones. I made a whole video where I ranked all the Fire Emblem games, so if you're interested in learning more about why Sacred Stones is my favorite game, go watch that one. Because that one didn't require you to create 23 alts. So you are actually allowed to watch that one. 0 likes equals 1 answer on that video. Alright, 1 like equals 1 answer number 3. Favorite male character. That's such a weird question. Weird categorization. And I don't really know how to do this. Because I don't know that I necessarily have a favorite male character. I don't really think of the characters divided into female and male. I mean, I know they are, obviously. It feels like it's almost cheating to use a Three Houses character because they are so much more developed than and more popular than the majority of characters in other Fire Emblem games. But I have been playing quite a lot of Fire Emblem Three Houses lately, and it's reminded me that I really like Felix. Like, I know, oh, edgelord, oh, you're edgy. I get it, but also, like, I don't know, there's a lot there. I like the Glenn stuff, which, you know, is not just Felix. Like, there's Ingrid in there, too, and Rodrigue, but, yeah, I don't like picking favorites, because I feel like my favorite changes, like, based on, you know, probably if I hadn't been playing a bunch of Three Houses, I wouldn't say Felix, but I've been reminded of how good of a character Felix is, whereas, like, maybe if I had been playing, like, some other game, I would have been reminded of another character. But I'm gonna say Felix for now, with the caveat of, like, I think that picking a definitive favorite is, like, a losing proposition in most questions, and I think it's mostly just, like, right now, he is the male Fire Emblem character that I am jiving with the most. Number 4, we have favorite female character. I don't know why they're doing it like this, but okay. I'm going to instantly contradict myself because a consistent staple of my Fire Emblem opinions has been that Jill is and remains and will probably always remain my favorite Fire Emblem character. And since Jill is female, she is also my favorite female. And if we get favorite wyvern or whatever, it'll be Jill as well. I just really like her. I like the journey she goes on. I know, like, she starts out super fucking racist, but that's not why I like her, obviously. I'm not here to say racism is based. I'm here to say, like, this is actually a really good depiction of someone who's been, like, heavily indoctrinated by their surroundings, by the fact that she was raised in a hyper-racist environment, and then exposure to, like, actual stuff in the world that contradicts these events that have been these beliefs that have been drilled into her, leads her to have sort of an existential crisis-ass thing. I think it's really good. I love her supports with Lef. I love her character growth and her character development throughout Path of Radiance. Radiant Dawn, she's more static. There is, like, the potential to recruit her with Har, and give her, like, a tiny bit of an arc, but I think she's more, like, her arc is finished in Radiant Dawn, but, like, I don't know, that's kind of just Radiant Dawn in general, is the characterization kind of goes out the window for a lot of people. I wouldn't even say it goes out the window for her so much as, like, she's had her character arc, she's just who she is now in Radiant Dawn. But in Path of Radiance, sort of that growth and development. Obviously, there are aspects of that character arc to be criticized. I do think, for example, the game story seems to equivocate the fact that Leth hates the Bjork with the fact that Jill hates the Laguz. And I do not think that those are equal. I don't think that because Leth hates the Bjork because they enslave the Laguz and hunt down and kill her people, and Jill hates the Laguz because she's been taught to view them as subhuman. So I do think that that's a little bit like, that's an F, that's an F, that's an L. But, you know, I still really like Jill. I still think there's a lot of really great writing surrounding her. To my mind, the Jill Leth stuff is the best piece of writing in Fire Emblem, but it is also important to criticize the things that we love when they fail, and there are aspects that fail. But I do love the Jill stuff. I do really love it. Alright, like number 5, answer number 5 is favorite protagonist, and if we're allowed to pick ROM hacks, it's Titus, like, hands down. But I don't think we're allowed to pick ROM hacks, so I have to pick a protagonist who's not as good as Titus. Anyway, play Vision Quest. Who is my favorite protagonist in Fire Emblem? I don't fucking know. I like Leaf. Yeah, I'll go with Leaf. Leaf is pretty cool. Thracia Leaf specifically. Like, he's pretty boring in FE4. But yeah, Leaf. I like Leaf. I know that's sort of the basic bitch answer. Everyone says their favorite lord is Leaf, but, like, I don't know, I'm a basic bitch. I did get to give my, like, indie game credentials, though, by saying Titus, because Titus is better than Leaf, but I like Leaf best of all the official ones, I guess. Alright, number 6, favorite antagonist, and I'm leaning towards Lyon. I think that he is just a good sort of tragic villain. Actually, no. Okay. I'm gonna get some fucking flame comments from both sides of this debate. But my favorite antagonist is Edelgard. I actually really like Edelgard as a character, as a complex character who, like, she is the antagonist of Three Houses. I think that she is the person who like she initiates that big conflict. And I mean, I don't think that makes her a villain. I think there's a reason that you can side with Edelgard. And personally, in the Edelgard versus Dimitri debate, I go back and forth, but right now I'm more on Edelgard's side than Dimitri's side. But I do think that she is in that antagonist role. Whether or not you agree with her, she is in the story as it structurally is in the antagonist role. Like, she's the Flame Emperor. She's the person you're fighting against for at least half of the game, even if you are on her side. Like, even if you go the Edelgard route for at least half of the game, you are fighting against her. You are antagonized by her. But I do think she's a very well-written character. I think Three Houses' writing fails her in some ways. But I do really like her. She's probably my favorite antagonist. And people are going to get mad that I call her an antagonist, and people are going to get mad that I say I like her, and I'm just going to be in the middle crying. But yeah, Edelgard, last time I called Edelgard an antagonist, someone gave me a fucking death threat. I did Three Houses discourse. Anyway, let's move on. Number 7, favorite lord. I mean, like, obviously Leaf. I already fucking answered this one with favorite protagonist. Like, what? I guess the idea is, like, there are some protagonists who are not lords, like Robin. I think Robin and Lucina, I would say, are protagonists. But, like, Lucina's in the lord class, and Robin is a game over condition, so they're kind of lords as well. What is this, like, Merlin is, or I guess Elincia is a protag without being a lord. It's weird that they put them so close to each other. I mean, like, I could say protag is character, and then lord is from a gameplay perspective, I guess. And gameplay-wise, I think, like, Leaf is a little bit boring. If we're going gameplay-wise, I think Alir is the most interesting lord. Just because I like using Alir's personal skill, TBH. I like making use of Divinely Inspiring. I think that is fun and satisfying to do. But, like, if we're saying story-wise, like, I already fucking answered this. It's Leaf. Next question. Favorite archer? I mean, I'm well on record on this channel as being a Rolf enjoyer. Both as a character, I really like the Three Brothers thing, like Oscar, Boyd, and Rolf. And as a unit, like, he's terrible, but it's fun to use. And, you know, use bad units, they're fun. Like, use at least one bad unit in every run, and you'll be surprised how fun they are. They're quite fun. And the 0 to hero is enjoyable. Rolf gaming. Yeah, I'm on record as a Rolf enjoyer. I fucking, in my Heartseal Reversal, I made a custom build your own Korin that I made Rolf and made into a magic bow sniper with minus strength and plus magic. It was so stupid. Yeah, Rolf. Number 9, favorite mage. I mean, I could say Pent as the meme, because I don't know how many people who aren't in the Discord are aware, but I think Pent is overrated. Not because I don't think he's good, because I think, like, people forget that he doesn't join in the desert. Like, people talk about him like he joins in the desert, like he doesn't have an availability problem. He joins one chapter before Harkin, and it's a fucking defend chapter. Like, Pent has an availability problem. He's not, like, fucking there for half the game. I think people think that Pent and Hawkeye join next to each other. Yeah, I'll say Pent for the meme. I like Pent. Actually, no. Fuck, Leo. I like Leo. Leo's goated. Leo is goated. Final answer, Leo. Number 10, favorite mounted unit. Leaf is getting a lot of love because Leaf is my favorite mounted unit. Specifically FE4 Leaf, where he's actually mounted. Because Master Knight go wee, and, like, yes, Ratchesis is also a Master Knight, but I think Leaf is more impactful as a Master Knight because you do, like, the rescue stuff with him. So yeah, I think Leaf. We're getting quite a lot of FE4 because I'm also thinking maybe favorite mage is actually Hawk instead of Leo. Yeah, I think I'm changing my answer to be a tie between Leo and Hawk. Just cause I like them both. Picking favorites is hard. Number 11, favorite dragon. That's Myrrh. Myrrh is my favorite dragon. I had a lot of fun with her in my draft Iron Man. I do think she's like simultaneously over and underrated by the community. Like some parts over focus on the 30 or the 50 use Dragonstone, right? That you only get like 50 attacks, and other people like say that it's 0% of a problem, whereas like I tend to come down kind of in the fact of like you get to choose one map that she makes it so you don't have to participate in. For me, it's usually her join map, and then like if you're conscious about training her. At 20, she can be, like, a boss killer for a couple of bosses, like Morva. Like, she can kill Grandpa, she can kill, I don't think she can kill Leon on her own, but she can help with it. She does need training. Like, she does definitely need training, and the Limited Dragonstone makes that annoying, especially because she doesn't one-round at base, or she wasn't one-shot at base, so she's using 2 uses to kill, unless you set up a kill for her, so that is annoying. But I do think it's also, like, it's not that hard to be conscious about the number of uses you're using, and just like, you know, you can bench her for a couple of maps if you're not like, you're not really using her. Well, maybe use her in the egg map because she's flying. I like Myr though. Number 12, favorite shapeshifter. That's Pawn, the bunny. I like sending her Wyvern. She's probably my favorite awakening unit. Yeah, that's Pawn. Banani. Okay, so I'm gonna go on a rant for number 13 because number 13 is favorite weapon. Favorite weapon. What the fuck does that... What kind of person? What kind of weird-ass person? What kind of absolute bonkers weirdo has a favorite weapon in the Fire Emblem franchise? Like, oh, my favorite weapon is Hand Axe, because it's 1-2 range, and you put it on Strong Wyverns, and they delete everything. My favorite weapon is Javelin, because it's got 1-2 range, and you put it on Strong Paladins, and they delete everything. My favorite weapon is the Armor Slayer, because you use it to kill generals. Favorite weapon? We're barely halfway through, and we're already scraping the bottom of the barrel for questions about Fire Emblem. Favorite weapon. Maybe I'm being unnecessarily mean to little Timmy, whose favorite weapon is the Iron Sword, and loves the iron. And the reason that little Timmy plays Fire Emblem, is he loves his Iron Sword so much, and he skipped Birthright because it doesn't have Iron Swords. It's got Iron Katanas. And he skipped Conquest because Iron Sword is D rank, and that's not in the spirit of the Iron Sword. Iron Sword should be E rank, and that's why he also skipped Awakening, because that has the Bronze Sword. Bronze is a fucking poor man's iron. If you disrespect the Iron Sword, little Timmy comes for you, and he does not know mercy. Little Timmy does not have a face of mercy. He has the face of vengeance. He does not forgive. And he does not forget. He knows what you did to his Iron Sword. Anyway, my favorite weapon is the Hand Axe, because it's got 1-2 range, and you put it on Jill and Kieran, and they delete everything. Number 14, least favorite game. Honestly, it's probably a tie between Birthright and FE7. I do not like those games. I sort of went over the issues I have with them in the Fire Emblem rankings. And since filming that video, I've started to like them even less than I did at the time of filming. So, I mean, like, if Heroes counts, Heroes is still my least favorite because it's, like, unethical. But, you know, I don't know. FE7 and FE Birthright, I do think that they are, like, on a mechanical level better than Fire Emblem 1 and BSFE. But, I just despise their existence. They're just, if they are games that you enjoy, that's perfectly fine and valid, and like I'm glad that you can find enjoyment in the game that I don't find enjoyment in, and I would never want to take that away from you, but I don't do that. I don't like them. Number 15, least favorite character. Oh, this feels mean. Because, you know, everyone is someone's favorite character. So, like, if I maybe I have no room to talk because I just went on a rant about how much I hate the Iron Swords and how little Timmy's wrong and Iron Swords should be canceled on Twitter for their crimes against humanity. But this feels mean. Everybody has... I feel like every character has at least one superfan. And how would I even pick my least favorite character, too? Like, there's characters I dislike. But, like, is there a character I dislike enough to say they are my least favorite character? Like, that just feels... That feels like an unhealthy amount of hatred towards a video game character. Anyway, it's Lapis. Fucking Coat and Seethe. Number 16, and remember, you're only allowed to listen to this if you liked this video with 16 alt accounts. Well, I guess 15 alt accounts because number 16 is your original. But number 16, now we're getting into the juicy's least favorite protagonist. Probably Seliph. I just think he's boring. I think Seliph is boring. Come for me, mob with your torches. I don't dislike him. Like, I don't actively dislike him. But as much as I memed about, like, Lapis, there's not really, like, I don't know, not liking a Fire Emblem character doesn't, like, consume and get me angry, right? Like, I don't know. I think he's just boring. I think he's a boring character. His whole characterization is just, like, he's the son of Sigurd. And, like, Sigurd is pretty interesting as a character, in my opinion. Like, you know, it's not, like, overly complex or anything. Like, he has a specific foible, and then he's punished for it. But Seliph is just kind of like, hey, I'm Sigurd's son, and I'm good and also right, and everyone loves me. I don't know, it's just kind of boring. Like, I did recently do an FE4 playthrough, and in it, I didn't save Julia. And I thought, like, maybe some amount of, like, emotion would come out of Seliph of the fact. And he just says, like, oh, I feel guilty. It's my fault that Julia died. And that's just sort of, like, it feels very similar to, like, when he's talking to Charlo. And he's like, I feel guilty. It's my fault that Hannibal died. He just constantly says, like, he feels guilty people died. There's not really any sort of, like, I don't know. He's just a guy. He's just a boring guy. And he's right and good. Which, that description applies to quite a few of the early Fire Emblem protagonists. Like, Marth is kind of boring. Alm, I actually kind of like Alm, but that's because of his relationship with Celica, and vice versa. Celica I like because of her relationship with Alm. Like, their relationship is good, but them as characters is not the most in-depth, at least in Gaiden. And then we get Marth again, and then I like Sigurd. Like, he's not super deep or complex, but I like him. And, like, I love Leaf. Like, Leaf is, I already said, Leaf is my favorite lord. And then, like, Roy is just kind of like Marth 2.0. Like, he's a little bit boring. The fact he has access to support conversations means he gets a bit of a deeper character. Like, there's stuff about, like, him feeling, like depressed and stuff. And, like imposter syndrome. So, yeah, I guess Seliph. Seliph is boring. There's just not much to him. I don't dislike him. Like, I don't sit up at night thinking, ooh, Seliph, oh, I just want to hurt Seliph, oh, I hate Seliph, I can't believe everyone likes Seliph. And, like, if you like Seliph, you know, good for you. Good for you. If you see something in him that I don't and you like that, good for you. I'm glad for you. I don't understand. I feel like there's a tendency in the Fire Emblem community to just, like, get really angry about people enjoying things that you don't enjoy. Like, someone bought, like, $100 Edelgard statue just to smash her. Like, not, like, in a sex way. In a hammer way. And then, like, post a video of it on Twitter. And I just can't imagine, like, having a life that is that devoid of joy. That, like, I feel the need to, like, spend money to destroy a fictional character's statue. Like, I don't know. Touch grass. Number 17, least favorite class. Gotta go with Swordmaster on that one. I don't know. Armor Knights are, like, fun because of how just horrible they are in general. Like, when we think about the bad classes, because I don't think any of the good classes are classes that are, like, my least favorite, right? Like, I really like Wyverns, I really like Paladins, I really like Falco Knights. And so when I think about, like, the bad classes, right? Like, Archers can be fun to use. archers can be fun to use, and there's some games where they're good. And there's some games where swordmasters are good, but, like, I guess the only one I can think of is, like, Vision Quest and FE6 have good swordmasters. And then even in other player phase heavy games, I don't especially think swordmaster is, like, a desirable place to be. And then I love Armor Knights for meme reasons, and I love archers. Or I don't love archers, but, like, when an archer is good, I think they're actually very fun to use. When swordmasters are good, it's like Rutger. I do like the swordmaster in Vision Quest. I think she's pretty fun. I don't know how, like, good she is necessarily. She's performing well in the first time that I used her. But I kind of have to dig more into the numbers with that game and sort of figure it out. But yeah, probably swordmaster. I think I just don't like swordmasters. Yeah. F's in the chat for Stefan fans. Number 18, favorite story, and I mean, I told you this would be a very Tellius-pilled answer question and answer time. I like FE9's story. I don't like FE10's story as much. I think it's, like, a little bit overhated, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think that, like, 3/4 of FE9's story, or FE10's story, are, like, perfectly fine. But I think it drops the ball in the end, like, in a really hard way. And I know that a lot of Fire Emblem games drop the ball in the end. Even stories that I really enjoy often do. But FE10 does it in, like, a whole spectacular-ass way. But FE9's story I really like. It's not the most, like, complicated thing in the world. Like, they didn't aim super high. To an extent they did with the racism stuff. But they did flop some of the racism stuff, too. Like, there's issues. I've gone over them before. You don't need to hear me say it again. Be a parody myself. But there's issues with it. But I do think, you know, you gotta hand it to them that they tried. And they did a pretty good job for the time. You know, I don't necessarily think, like, oh, it was a different time is, like, an excuse, especially not for something that came out, like, 10, 15 years ago. But it is also worth noting that, you know, it was 10 to 15 years ago. Like, I don't know. We weren't, in general, as necessarily socially aware. And, like, that's on us. But also, I don't know. I think even outside of the racism stuff, I just like story. I like Alincia's story. I like them and their stuff, and my cat is coughing in the background, and I'm not going to edit it out. Hey, baby, are you okay? You okay? Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Mercury was coughing up a hairball, really bad one. She was, like, struggling to get up, and so I just sort of, like, rubbed her back, soothed her through it, and then we cuddled a little bit afterwards. But now I'm here, and we're ready. We're ready to do 1 like equals 1 answer. We're ready. So next up is favorite cast of characters, and I gotta go with Fire Emblem 10 for that one. Basically because, like, I love the Tellius cast, and Fire Emblem 10 has more people, and I do think that, like, some of the Fire Emblem 10 additions are characters that I like. Like, I actually quite like Micaiah. I actually quite like Heather. Those are the 2 big ones who get added that I like to the cast of characters. We get some more stuff on, like, I guess they didn't exist as playable characters, but, like, Kurth Naga, we get more stuff on. Gareth, we get more stuff on. No, we don't really get many more on Gareth, but, like, the Royals. I like Nyla. You know, what little screen time we have of her, I like her. I don't know, but yeah, 10, because we get more people. Like, all we lose out on is Largo. Rip Largo, but you will not be missed. Okay, number 20, favorite gameplay, and I go back and forth on this, but I do think the minute-to-minute gameplay, I like Three Houses gameplay the most. You know, the way that the combat arts and the various skills and gambits and battalions and stuff work. I just think you get quite a few interesting options in that game. I do think that, like, if we're only counting on the map gameplay, that's my favorite. Obviously, I do not, or maybe not obviously, some people probably disagree with this, but I don't like the monastery. I think that's bad gameplay. But if we're just counting on the map itself, I do really like the gameplay in Three Houses. Again, I don't care for the map design of Three Houses. I think the map design of Three Houses is leaves a little bit desired. It's a little bit lacking. But I do really like just the systems. So I don't know if gameplay means just the systems or if it factors in the map design, because, like, map design is obviously part of the gameplay, but I don't know. I'm just gonna stick with 3 houses as because it's easy. Number 21 is a spicy one, gamers, and that is, what difficulty do you usually play on? And the answer depends. If it is my first ever playthrough, I usually play on hard or the equivalent to hard. So, you know, we'll talk, I guess that doesn't even fucking mean anything, right? Because, like, hard Path of Radiance is the hardest difficulty in that game. Well, except for Maniac. So that also, hard Sacred Stones is the hardest difficulty in that game. But, like, hard Engage is the middle difficulty in that game. But also, hard Engage is harder than hard Sacred Stones. But I guess to address the question, if, like, a new Fire Emblem game came out, my first ever playthrough, I would play the middle difficulty, usually hard. And then after that, I go to Maniac, and usually all subsequent playthroughs I do Maniac. Unless it's, like, the case of I just don't especially jive with the highest difficulty. Like, for example, Awakening. I actually dislike Awakening Lunatic. And if I was gonna replay Awakening, I think I would default to hard. Even though I have done Awakening Lunatic, and, like, I did hard in my first playthrough, and then I did Lunatic after, and I just didn't care for it as much. And going back to hard, like, I don't know, I also just don't care for Awakening that much, TBH. But yeah, I think for the most part, the path is first playthrough hard, later's playthrough Maniac, or the equivalent. Like, for example, Vision Quest, I know I keep bringing up Vision Quest, but I've got it on the mind. For Vision Quest, normal is the equivalent to hard, it's the recommended first playthrough, and then hard is listed as, it's described as the equivalent to Maniac. So, like, my first playthrough hard, and then subsequent first playthrough was normal, which is the hard, and my subsequent playthroughs are hard, which is the Maniac. Fuck, this is so confusing. Anyway, we're done. Next question. 22. One character you'd love to see in Fire Emblem Warriors. I think this dates this set of questions to before Warriors came out, because, like, haha, Fates and Awakening, and I guess some Fire Emblem ones. But someone I would love to see in Fire Emblem Warriors. I guess just, like, this means, like, they would need to have, like, an interesting moveset or whatever. Otherwise, it's just, like, a character I like. And, like, I've already said a bunch of the characters that I like. So someone who would have, like, an interesting moveset if they got put into a Warriors game. I mean, Ivy, Flying Tome User, is pretty cool. Yeah, we'll go with Ivy. 23, your biggest hope for the next Fire Emblem game. Honestly, no more hub worlds. I mean, that's never going to happen. We're just going to have hub worlds in every single Fire Emblem. We're just going to have avatars in every single Fire Emblem. But, like, a girl can dream. I really think the removal of hub worlds would significantly improve my enjoyment of whatever the next Fire Emblem game is. Assuming it's not a remake. Like, if it's a remake, I could go on the Copium and be like, you know, the next Fire Emblem game is going to be an FE4 remake. Yes, I am very enlightened indeed. The next one is going to be an FE4 remake. Yes. So in that case, my hope is that they don't remove the FE4 mechanics. I know, actually, can we talk about this? A lot of people want the FE4 remake to remove a lot of the FE4-ness. Like, just remove the pawn shop system and remove, I don't know. I feel like you can improve FE4 without removing, like, the inheritances, the royal weapons. You could try to make the classes less imbalanced, but I do think, like, there are some, like, the gold management, the pawn shop management, the love management, are all things that make FE4, and I think removal of them, especially pawn shop, like, an FE4 game without pawn shop is just not a fun concept to me. I just don't want to do that. And so, I guess if we're going on the FE4 Copium, which, for the record, I don't actually think we're guaranteed to get an FE4 remake, but if we do, my biggest hope would be don't remove the pawn shop. And if we don't get an FE4 remake, my biggest hope would be remove the gosh darn dingle darn freaking stupid hub worlds. I hate hub worlds even more than the avatars. I mean, in a perfect world, if I could have 2 hopes, if I was allowed to have 2 hopes, I would hope that we also get rid of avatars. I'm kind of just sick of them. And if I was allowed to have 3 hopes, I would hope that Vampire Emblem was real. Does anyone remember Vampire Emblem? Yeah, shoutouts to Vampire Emblem. Let me know in the comments if you're a real one who knows about Vampire Emblem. Hell yeah. 24 is waifu / husbando. I don't do that. I don't engage in, like, waifu husbando culture. I honestly don't understand it either, if I'm being perfectly honest. I really can't put myself in the shoes of, like, finding a video game character, like, sexually attractive, or romantically attractive. Like, I don't know. So I guess my waifu is Slug Monster. Miklon in monster form. No, that's probably someone's. That's like a monster fucker's waifu. So, yeah, I don't have one. I cannot come up with a sufficiently shitposty pick for waifu slash husbando that's not going to have at least one person that genuinely wants to have sex with them. So that's my likes and answers. That's all 24 likes and all 24 answers. Let me know in the comments if you want to fuck Miklon in monster form. Are you a monster fucker? No shame if you are. You know, I'm not, but you know, we all have fetishes, unless we don't. But don't lie, you do.